Alright, so welcome back to day 3 of the 850 Morris Mini build. So today we are going to start to remove the engine mounts. We're going to remove the bonnet for better access to be able to get the engine out. We're then going to rip the engine out using the new special tool that I bought. All the tools and equipment that I use I'll post in the link in the description below. So let's get to it. Okay, so as you can see, we have the engine out. It's now time to do some inspections and see what we found in terms of oil and coolant leaks. There's a few things so far, nothing serious, but it could turn into an engine rebuild like the 1275. So let's start stripping and see what we can find. So I've had a quick look over it so far. It looks like there's a fair amount of carbon build up in the inlet manifold, so I'm going to see if we can do a head service while we're there. When we take the head off, we'll then have a look at the pistons, see what sort of condition they're in. If the cylinders need to be bored or honed, we might get down that process. So it just depends on what we find internally and what the customer wants to do. Personally, if this was me, we've gone to this extent now, we're pretty much halfway there. If it was me, I would just send it away, get it machined. That way, when you reassemble the engine, everything is Mickey Mouse and you've got no problems. Plus the satisfaction and guarantee that you know you've got a very good engine to begin with and you're starting from a really good starting point. Whereas if we just slap it back together, chances are it might be okay, it might not be. Now, one of the things I forgot to mention, this engine plate here that I was using to lift it out, this is super handy. This cost me like 80 bucks from Minisport down in South Australia. There are 2 different variations of this. There's this type that you use for the Morris, so the round nose. Also, there is a hook that comes along here and that you use to lift out the engines for Clubmans. So this made the job absolutely easy because this is the original lifting hook remake that they made in order to remove engines out of Minis. So it made it quite good because it tilted the engine on the right angle that I need to get it out and it came up. As you saw in the video, there's a couple of things that held me up, but you know, it was one of those things that with my engine, it's a lot easier to get out because it is a Clubman. I do have more room, plus I have a different carburetor setup. His is a little bit different. So without further ado, let's get to it. Alright, so that's it for today, guys. That's all we're going to be doing on the 850 today. So given the amount of stuff that I've found, one of them being the amount of carbon buildup on the inlet manifold and a couple of the oil leaks, I'm going to really suggest to this customer that we give it a bit of a refurb. If we've gone this far to the extent of separating the gearbox from the block, we're probably best to go ahead and do a bit of a refurb. Even if it is just a cylinder head service and a hone of the cylinder bores, at least then we have the guarantee and the satisfaction more so that the engine is in a really good working condition to start off with, especially the fact that he's just purchased his car. So let me do some chatting with the customer, and I'm sure next time, by the time you see this, we'll be doing a bit more to the engine and or the gearbox. So you'll see the 850 plus the Morris Mini only here on Tomo's Tune Ups.